Eliot Spitzer's tenure as New York governor is coming to an end.
For this reason, I am resigning from the office of governor.
Every time I said something negative about Spitzer or the state of New York politics, they would move me from regular probation into the sex offenders unit. I'm everywhere reminding him that he's an unpunished criminal.
What do we got on this bitch? Go get her. I don't give a how bad or this case could be. We got to get her perp walked because she's my world up.
Roger and Spitzer have been at like a lifetime war. And I think there was something there that he also wanted to take Roger out. He wanted me to flip on Roger, and I didn't flip on Roger. One of the officers called me prison Barbie, but, you know, I was like, nobody looks good in prison.
It's the Bubba the Love Sponge show and one of my one-off podcasts, and I've known this person actually longer than I thought I've known her. Kristin M. Davis, better known as the Manhattan Madam. We've been bullshitting a little bit before we started the podcast about our very, very, very common and very special friend, Roger Stone. And she's had a lot of interactions with Roger. She actually was, the special counsel, Robert Mueller, was actually going after you kind of first, trying to build Roger's case when they were trying to fuck Roger. They kind of started with you, didn't they, Kristin?
Kind of. I mean, they've been trying to get Roger for a long time, right? They were trying to get him for years before it happened. So they certainly came to my apartment because I shared a duplex with Roger.
Right.
They came to the apartment to search there also. Roger's the godfather to my son. So, he helped me. When I came out of prison, I broke up with my son's father and I had nowhere to live. I was still in a halfway house and I had to go to Roger and ask him and his wife to take me in, and they did. So, I'm very grateful for that.
Well, to Roger's credit, though, there's some pretty good arm candy there. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I mean, when you're going to dinner in West Palm and you're rolling too deep like this, you're looking pretty damn good. You know what I'm saying?
Well, Roger Stone is, let's be clear, he's not the easiest man to work for. No. So there is some level of abuse that I have endured over the years.
But I will tell you this, he's maybe not the easiest to work for, but fuck is he loyal. If he's your guy and he loves you and he does you, he will take a bullet for you. You know that.
Yeah.
Just like I feel like he's done, I think he's kept a lot of heat off of Trump, I think. I mean, I don't know if we can travel down that path necessarily, but, I think that, I think Roger knows where some of the bodies are buried on a lot of different subjects, not just, Trump, but Roger knows a lot of shit.
Yes, he does. And you know what that also means is that Kristin Davis knows
a lot of shit.
So when I first met Roger, I think it wasn't the first meeting because we met on Vinnie Politan's show when he had it on Sirius XM.
Right.
So we did a panel on Eliot Spitzer. Roger afterwards was like, "I'm your biggest fan. You're brilliant. Come work for me." And I'm like, "No, I don't know." And he asked me out for dinner maybe a month later. He took me to I think it's the 35 Club, whatever that club is in Manhattan. It's not open anymore. Very, upscale kind of club, not someplace like I would really like to go. And he took me and he said, "I want you to run for office." So why would I do that? I know nothing about politics. And he said, well, and he was lobbying me, just like he said in Get Me Roger Stone, right? He was he's a jockey looking for a horse, right? For Trump. He was doing the same thing to me. And he said, but I need you to understand, if you run, every enemy of mine will now become an enemy of yours. And that didn't really have any significance until like 2016 all of the enemies started coming. And
when he first told you that, it really didn't resonate. You're like, okay, well, how bad can it be? Like,
it was 7 years prior. So for 7 years, we had 7 years of, it wasn't divisive. People could have, intelligent conversations, debates. And then all of a sudden, it was like when I had my kid, Roger would push the baby stroller down the street in Manhattan and people would yell at him, spit at him as he's pushing an infant stroller. And I would just sit there like, you can't push my kid around.
New York is, you've lived in Florida, you've lived other places, I'm sure. You're not in Florida anymore, but New York is so fucking mean. Are the people just like you're familiar with Florida? I know you spent some time in Texas and other places, but like people genuinely in Texas and in Florida and other places, they're not mean. Like they're not fucking assholes. It seems like people in New York have that asshole quality about them for some reason.
They do. We used to frequent this burger place. It was a liberal place, but the owners were very nice to Roger. They got to know him and they liked him. And one day we were sitting outside and someone from the building across the street, this is in the middle of Mueller, when everybody thought that there was collusion, right?
Right.
They took a picture from like 3 floors up of us sitting outside and put it on Twitter trying to incite violence against him. And the owner actually came out because it got some traction as we're sitting there and was like, listen, you guys should probably leave. Are you kidding?
Can't even have
what
dinner.
have we done? We're having a burger. I mean, what?
It's ridiculous. And I don't really, and here's what I understand is that I know a lot of good people in New York that are conservative, but it's like it's almost a brainwashing area for liberals. And the fact that like you just are brainwashed regardless of what you really want to be. It's like the media and everything around you, your education, your upbringing, your schooling, your fucking bus driver, whoever, everybody's just on this big liberal dick sucking, and it's just like that's all you get exposed to. So it's like you're indoctrinated to it. And like, I actually thought that, Trump, I think he did the best that he's ever done, or the best the Republicans done in a while this past election, I think. But like the AOCs and this fucking Letitia Davis bitch, and like what the fuck is in the water up there to make everybody batshit crazy?
I don't know. You're right though. You're right, Mom Dami. Like how is that even an option?
My God, what the fuck's gonna happen with that dude? Free busing. Do you know that I was reading an article that the average bus takes about $104,000 a year maintenance. Just to maintain the oil and the transmission and the tires and the average bus just takes it's not even accounting for what they pay the driver of that bus. And so, and that fluctuates between if the bus need new tires. So they subsidize that, they can subsidize that cost by the fares a little bit, but a lot of it's public funded. But now they don't even have they have no way to generate any income. How are you going to justify, I don't know how many fucking buses are in New York, maybe 1,000, I don't know, and have no way to recoup any of that income, just give it away for free. How's that going to work? And that's only one of his fuckeries. I mean, like, what if you're a guy that owns a 12-story apartment complex that you bought as an investment, and you're doing well with it, and that's maybe your main source of income, or one of your main, maybe one of your main sources of income, and you got the mayor telling you now what the fuck your rent's going to be, like. What are we in Russia?
Yeah, I really actually enjoyed Andrew Cuomo when they did the debate, and he was like, "You have never had a job on your resume. It says you're my mother."
I know.
Or whatever. And
I was never pulling for Cuomo harder than then.
I know. And I debated Cuomo in 2010, right? I debated him for the governor's race with Carl Palladino and the Rent is Too High guy, and he was lovely to me. And I'm not a fan. But I thought, I'd rather Cuomo there than Mamdani. I can't believe that people have so much hate in their heart that they would elect someone with no experience to run a city that size.
I'm not a fan of Cuomo either, but I'm on my knees sucking his dick compared to this Mudabi guy. I mean, this motherfucker is completely out to. There's just no way.
Right. And poor Curtis Sliwa, he's never gonna. He's just never. He would be great. I love Curtis.
He'd be great.
As me for Halloween in 2010. He dressed up as me, and he went on New York One with like boobs and a blonde wig, and it was hilarious. And I have deep love for him. And all
it's really bad. I feel bad for Curtis Sliwa because he is the most popular, effective person in New York that doesn't get credit.
Yes,
like
yes,
he
yes.
does. He started the Guardian Angels, and I don't know how many hundreds of thousands of good acts have they done back in the 70s and 80s when the subway was really violent. They would help old ladies, fight off thugs, and so the Guardian Angels, that's nothing but a good thing. He's very, very well read. He's a lifelong New Yorker. He's never been in trouble. He's always been on the good side of everything, but because he's with the wrong party, he's instantaneously not taken seriously. And he really probably would be a pretty fucking good mayor.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is his second run now, and it's sad that they have so much hate in their heart that they would rather put in office someone who will destroy the city rather than someone who will actually do a great job.
How long do you think it'll take? By the way, Kristin M. Davis, as my guest today, better known as the Manhattan Madam. She ran a huge high-end prostitution ring in New York City. She doesn't back away from it. She leans into it. We'll talk about it here momentarily. She spent some time in prison. Now, does your time in prison equate to about what Diddy got? I think you did about 22. You did 22 months, I think.
Yeah, I did 22. I got a 24-month sentence.
And he got, I think, 48. And so, and at the end of the day, let me ask you a question, Kristin. To watch that Cassie video just makes me cringe to know what the fuck. That's just what we know and see. What else if that's what we saw, I think he's a fucking monster. Let me just say that. I think he's an absolute monster. I wish they would have had better evidence to get him on all the really big shit, but they got him on this ticky-tack shit. And to me, it sounds like all they really got him on, and by the way, I didn't want him to be found not guilty. I wanted them to throw the fucking book at him, the big Fed charges. But it sounds like he just sent his driver to pick up a couple hookers. That's it. That's what they got him on.
He was using the male escort agency, right?
Oh, okay.
So he was actually using Cowboys for Angels, right? I used to know the owner. It's been sold. But how come they didn't go and bring any of those guys to trial, right? Additional charges for that, right?
And the public didn't
a better case, and they just didn't do it. What they presented was garbage.
And the average public didn't know the Cowboys for Angels deal. They kept that completely right. Until you just said it, I didn't know.
And they talk about it very lightly, right? I think in Cassie's testimony, she says, "Oh, well, I used to call this escort agency, or I used to call and get these guys, and we'd pay them." They were using an agency, right? And I do believe that is an additional charge. So why wouldn't you do a much more comprehensive investigation? So either the choices are they're incompetent, or they purposefully chose not to include certain things, other charges, and to give him a really light version.
I would have liked to have heard from the Cowboys. The public would have been intrigued to see these male escorts up there giving their testimony on what they did and, how fucking freaky she was and all this kind of stuff. And you're right. They didn't. That's such a misstep for them. It's just like the Epstein list, I watched your Instagram. I don't think you're going to be able to see it, but you might be able to hear it. And I fucking love this one right here. Hold on.
This video is not about the list. It's about how the system protects powerful men. I used to be a madam. I was held accountable for my crimes. Yet the prosecutor in my case chose not to go after any of the men or my extensive client list. See, the system was never meant to expose men like Epstein. It was built to protect them. Epstein had over $1 billion with more than 4,000 financial transactions tied to his account. There's no such thing as $1 billion operation without records. We don't need a list, but we, the people, we want transparency. We are all afraid for our children. We want to know how deep down the rabbit hole goes. Men who like children, They won't stop. They will just find another provider. They want us to forget about this issue and move on. Us continuing to talk about it makes them uncomfortable. So please keep talking about it. If this resonated with you, leave me a comment.
I didn't leave you a comment, but goddamn, does that resonate with me? I mean, that is exactly what the media needs to be saying that won't. And so, just a very simple question: what the fuck are they afraid of with regards to this Epstein list? And if Trump isn't on it, then wouldn't it, I heard the rumor, and you would know, like you absolutely would know. I heard the rumor that they're not afraid of Trump or Clinton or any of these, that there is a high-ranking Saudi Arabian on that list that everybody's afraid of. And you know how controlling Saudi Arabia is, and they're buying everything. They got the most money. I heard that that's what they're afraid of. Now, I could be wrong.
I wouldn't doubt that because, I was arrested in connection with Spitzer, but like in terms of the people on my list, Spitzer was like down at the bottom in terms of power and even political power, right? I had leaders of countries on my list. So it could be that, it definitely could be. I mean, the thing is, like, my point I always make is, I had a black book of 10,000 names, and that was only from 1 year. And that became apparent that I needed, at first, I didn't keep any records because
Right.
I just burned everything.
Right.
Right. I was like, no records, no paper trail, no crime. But then I really wanted to make a lot of money. And I realized that I needed to know what clients had paid,
Yeah,
who
right.
they'd seen, under what name they saw the girl, where. I needed to have records. So I started keeping records. So my point is, maybe there isn't, maybe there's no organized list, but there's certainly records. There's financial records, 4,700, transactions in $1 billion account. There's certainly things that we should know, and we just don't know. And the fact that we don't get clear answers just is so scary.
Why it would be such a mic drop if Trump and Bondi would just say, remember Bondi fucked up earlier. She was on Jesse Waters. Is like, I got the list.
We got the list.
I got the list on my desk. And then she goes, oh, I meant it was the file. There's some fuckery going on here, and I can't quite figure it out. And the one thing that I said about this high-ranking Saudi Arabia official makes about as much sense as anything I can think of, because, I mean, here's the deal. You can have been on the plane and not have participated in having sex with kids. That's all the public really wants to know, is who the ultra bad guys are. Not the guy who took a fucking free plane ride to New Mexico, but who the fucking monsters on this list are. Because, I mean, we want to protect our children, and at the end of the day, those scumbags have no rights, and they should be exposed.
Agreed. And I don't think it's just the one Saudi, right? Because I didn't have just one head of country on my list. When you get one, then comes their friends, their prime ministers, their, all the other people.
And once you have that one that had a great experience and said, oh my God, Kristin's service is unbelievable. The girl she sent over was a fucking rock star. Oh my God. Then that breeds other, his friend, his prime minister, his president. Like it just completely just explodes.
Right. And then to Trump's credit, it would be a foreign relations nightmare, right? Now you're accusing this guy of being a pedophile, and how is that going to, work with having any sort of relationship with that country?
Maybe it's more presidential to take the heat and just not, maybe it's, as much as we're thinking it's not cool. You need to be transparent. Maybe for the state of our country, especially as powerful as Saudi Arabia is, maybe it's actually more presidential to take the heat and just deal with it, and just deal with it.
They could just tell us that's what they're doing, so that we would feel of everyone with a conspiracy theory. This person is this person is that. The lack of transparency is what leads everyone to being hypersensitive to, everyone
As
in
a
the world
I used
wants
to be,
our children.
I'm going to
I wanted to play this one for you while we're talking.
So, as someone with a client list who's been arrested, I'm going to tell you how this works. Ghislaine is going to get a pardon, or she's going to get her sentence commuted.
Or a Kush going to be at a camp instead of
But
mids.
she is at a camp
Yeah,
now, right?
that's what I'm
I think
saying.
she is. I didn't even get to go to a camp.
No, you had to go to Rikers, right?
Oh, but when I did Fed time, right? I started at a camp, and then I was writing for this Exo Jane website from inside the camp and pissing people off because I was calling out the officers for doing bad things to the women. And they shipped me right on into a medium. So I spent the bulk of my time in a medium.
And mediums suck. I know a couple guys. That one guy, his name's Matt Cox. He's a really good podcaster here. He was a.
Oh yeah. I know who he is. I saw your interview with him.
Oh, if you could get, I need to get you booked on him.
Yeah, no, he asked me to come on, but you know what? I only have so much time.
I
And
know.
Bubba, I chose you.
I know because of probably because of Raj, but he says that mediums are horrible, like they're bad, and on the federal deal, you got to go to the lows, or you.
I was also in a medium ICE facility.
So you got a bunch of Mexicans and Guatemalans and Venezuelans, and
Yeah, so people are like, you don't know what discrimination is. Okay, I served 2 years in an ICE facility and I lived in the Bronx. I 100% know what discrimination is.
Right. So they've already shipped Jazine already over to fucking Texas, and she's with the same. She's with the girl that did the Thanos girl that tried to do the blood gimmick. Yeah, she's with her.
Oh yeah, they're coming up with their next scam, I'm sure.
Exactly. Hold on here.
She gave them 100 names to make a headline to also show them that she's being honest and cooperating. They're going to bury the list, and it's more than 100 names. Ghislaine is the one person that's been held accountable for doing what she did, and now she's going to walk. And the worst part of this is that she's incentivized to lie because she desperately wants out of prison. She's going to lie. She's going to say everything the administration wants her to because she's incentivized to do so. Again, it's a cover-up.
Boom. God, Kristin.
I do believe that. I do believe she's going to end up with a pardon.
I think so. I hope Trump. I've been hearing that he's making a maybe pardon P. Diddy. I hope not. That's a bad look.
He's pardoned a lot of people.
Yeah, I don't even know about that.
Some worthy, some not worthy.
Yeah, that latest senator from New York that was doing identity.
Yeah, George Santos.
I don't know what the upside.
I was not a fan of that one.
Me either. I don't know what the upside to that is. I mean, and certainly not P. Diddy.
No, he doesn't deserve it.
No.
And I think the thing is, people who are violent or like children, they're not going to just stop. I had to do 2 years almost, the full 2 years in the sex offenders unit for probation. Okay. I'm not a sex offender, but when I started, and Roger can attest to this, when we started running for office, I was on probation. And every time I said something negative about Spitzer or the state of New York politics, they would move me from regular probation into the sex offenders unit. And what that unit was, I had to go twice a week. They don't take appointments. You go, you sign in a paper at 8 a.m. and you wait. And you wait in the room with all the sex offenders, all men, 200 men.
Yeah, all chomos.
And you sit there. Most of the time it was 5 hours. I would bring a snack. I go with my hat and a hoodie. And I have heard every story about how these men go after children. They would just sit there and talk. When they would realize I'm a woman, they would move over to me. I would complain about it. I had to go to my judge numerous times and tell him, I need to be moved out of this unit. He would move me out. He would say, why are you doing this to Miss Davis? At a very famous judge, Thomas Farber of Farberware. He would move me out. And then I would say something, and 10 days later, I'd be right back into the same unit.
So it'd just be based on what you would write or say, then they would fuck with you.
Yeah, and they would. What they said was, well, we're afraid you're going to reoffend, and we have to put you here because it has the most stringent reporting requirements. You have to come here, and they were doing home visits. I mean, it was really overkill. And one time I got a really nice probation officer, and she was like, listen, they're just going to keep doing this to you because it's coming from way high up. And
it was coming from
she said, they don't ever repeat it. And I did repeat it. She said, they just don't like you. And I was
So
like,
you're everything that you're everything that they're afraid of. You're smart, you're intelligent, you're well-spoken, and you're hot. And so that message, when you can be the first two, what I said, but when you are also attractive, then that garners attention. And nobody wants a hot know-it-all. We want you hotties to be dumb and just and just be on our arm and just be our arm candy. God forbid that you are absolutely probably smarter than the guy you're holding the person's arm.
I think a lot of it also had to do with my client list, right? My client list never came out, and I think a lot of scare tactics were used to keep me silent. Like, why did I go to solitary confinement? That was completely unnecessary. The $2 million bail, also unnecessary. Highest in the history of that crime was my bail. Why would you do that? You took my passport. I have ties to New York. Most people, get let out in a signature, but I'm being held in solitary. So it's like, I really think that they wanted to scare me to either give over my list, which I didn't do, or just not ever release it.
Kristin M. Davis on the Zoom today for today's podcast, known as the Manhattan Madam. If we were to back up a little bit, so Kristin, I think you were born and raised in the Bronx, right?
No, I was born and raised in Fresno, California.
Oh, and I'm sorry, I thought you were a New Yorker. You're a California
for a
girl.
Wall Street job.
Oh, that's right. So born in Fresno, California, which is not which is about as not California as you can get, isn't it?
That's right. That's right.
I had a friend, and I didn't come up with that. I had a friend of mine who lived in Fresno, and he's like, if you would close your eyes, you think you're in Tennessee. Bunch of fucking white trash. He goes, it's not surfers and cool dudes. He says it's just straight fucking white trash meth, just all kinds of shit. That's what he said Fresno was all about.
Well, and it's probably more that way now. When I grew up, it was just a farming town. It was not the same size. So I grew up there. And then I moved to college in San Francisco.
Okay.
And then I worked in finance. That's how I learned about the sex industry, right? The finance bros, because they're all using services. So at like 17, 18, they were asking me to book them girls. And then I moved to New York for a Wall Street job, and then eventually.
So were you booking a few girls in San Fran? Did you kind of dabble in it a little bit?
Only as like the employee to these traders, right? So I worked for these guys who were like the Wolf of Wall Street. They made a lot of money, lots of excess, indulgences, and they would be like, "Get us some girls. We're going to Vegas." And I'm like, "What? How do I do that?"
So would you go down to a strip club, or would you like how?
No, they would just give me the numbers of who to call, VIP hosts or girls, or they had their little network already. They just wanted me to take
They wanted the girl.
They were grooming me, I think. I mean,
I
really,
think they were.
About it now, that's really grooming.
They were grooming you to how to do the deal.
And like inexperienced in life. So,
well, it's also less, if you're a really big time mover and shaker like that, it's a lot less creepy for a girl to ask than it is for a guy. And it's a little bit of an insulation kind of factor. So do you remember the very first girl that you ever contacted? Not necessarily her name, but like what kind of rap did you put on her? Like what was the rap?
Oh, the rap was awful because I had no rap. I had no skills then. I developed them over the years, but I was like, hello, my boss gave me your number, and like I'm trying to book you, and she started laughing, and I'm like, I'm not a wife. Don't be scared.
Right. I'm just a hot blonde.
And she walked me through it. She was very nice.
So she had done it. Okay. She had done it before, and she kind of probably knew what the rate was.
Everybody, you know what? These guys have used so many services. Like they're already known. They were already known. So it was just easy. As soon as I said their names, they were like, "Okay, yeah. You're their trading assistant. Listen, don't worry. Don't be scared of us.
We got it." Now, back then, if I can, like, what would a weekend in Vegas get a girl? Maybe 2,500.
No, these guys were partying, like they wanted them to be there the whole weekend, 2 or 3 of them. So it was like 20 grand for the weekend, 30 grand for the weekend. Yeah,
per girl or
no, total, the total
split
bill.
It up.
Mm-hmm.
Now, did you ever get because I've been, a lot of strip clubs, and you start throwing dollars around where bitches have got to split shit up. Stuff goes sideways real fast. Would they always work well together where they would split it, evenly?
They always worked well. the girls were very lovely. If I, booked them a lot of business, they would usually send me presents or money. Or my first Louis Vuitton purse was from one of the girls. Like, I
Right.
didn't even know what the brand was. She's like, I bought you a purse. And I'm like,
You're like, what's LV? I don't even know
yeah,
it.
I mean,
Brown. Like,
I was really green. I grew up in Fresno. We didn't have Louis Vuitton,
No. So then you
So
get shipped out to New York, and then that's where you kind of started the ring, your very first, the first prostitution ring, and that was with, I think, a high profile or a hedge fund or something like that, right?
So I got a vice president job on Wall Street. I had a very cushy corner office, 40 people reporting to me. But, I saw a lot in finance in terms of how the finance bros acted towards women, which was atrocious. But also, I'm the one that's signing off on their numbers. So
Right.
these guys are bringing me, things to evaluate in terms of their performance, investments they've made that aren't on the stock exchange, and they're lying. A lot of them are lying about it. They're like, listen, this is worth 100 million. Here's a phone number you can call to verify. And I'm calling and researching, and I'm like, no, it's worth 10 million. You lost money. And they want me to sign off on this performance that they're lying about. And so I went head to head with a lot of these guys over the years because I'm like, I'm not doing that. This is a lie. I also am the one filing our Securities Exchange Commission reports. It's
Right.
my name on there. I'm not going to do that when I know that this is wrong. And, I got fired from one job for doing it.
For being straight up.
Yep, the guy, I was on a third party administrator for hedge funds. He came in and he said, you either sign off on this or you can resign. And I resigned. I was like, I'm not doing
Right.
that. It's like you're trying to get me to say that the performance for this, billion-dollar fund is 10% for the year when it's like 2.
Right.
I'm not doing that. So I resigned. And then I got another job in New York. And they tried some similar tactics. And at that point, I was reading in the newspaper that Spitzer, as Attorney General, was making arrests and how much money and cash these people had. And I just thought to myself,
Making
like,
arrests with
wow.
regards to prostitution rings and things like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
And
He
you
was
started
making
looking at the money, at the dollars, and you're like, fuck.
Yes. I was like, why am I not doing this? I already, I know how to deal with the finance bros, right? Because I've been
Right.
doing it for so long.
Right.
I
And
know
you
how
know
much
the type
money
of
is there.
expense accounts they get. You know that.
Right. Right.
And so you know how the kind of the back end of how you and your girls would get paid. So you know how it could just get rubber stamped. So if you kind of stay in that niche, and work in that, start off in that niche, but that obviously, expanded to, presidents of company or countries and very, very powerful people. But I got a question, and I don't want you to take it disrespectful. How many of them are trying to fuck you? I mean,
None.
I mean, I would be like, don't get mad at me, Kristin. I'd be like, Kristin, that one chick you sent over is pretty damn looking, but fuck you, how much is for you?
In New York, I probably over 5-year period, I only employed maybe 3 blondes. It's not a popular hair color.
It's
The
not.
most requested thing out of any client was I would like her to be all natural.
Okay.
And
All
I'm
right.
and some of the guys would be like, you sound so cute. What about you? And I would be like, I'm the exact opposite of everything that you have asked for.
Right. Every box you've checked. I look
We
like,
would say, "Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I'm not interested." But we would have a laugh. We would have a laugh about it. But definitely was my look was not a popular look in New York City.
I mean, hot is hot, fuck. Now,
But I think what made us successful is because I had all this business experience talking to high net worth men,
right.
from the finance bros to their investors. So I was really able to use that skill in the business, which
Right.
also got me a lot of great girls because I made them a lot of money. I had a waiting list of girls who wanted to work for me.
So do you remember your very first girl you hired?
100%. She was with me until the day I was arrested.
So she was your ride or die, like she was your girl.
Yeah. I mean, if you started with me and, and you did well the first 2 weeks, chances were you were with me in the end.
Right.
Because I really treated people well And a lot of them went on, to have jobs or whatever, to do things, college, but they still might take a call or two a month
Right.
because they like the cash. Yeah.
Right. I mean, and the cash was at its peak on one. I'm sure you had different levels of girls, ones, A's, B's, C's. I mean, I don't know, but like the hottest, best performing, well requested girl could do. How much could she make?
Well, so let's say if we were at the very top, right? I have
Yeah.
two categories, right? The one that I consider her maybe my top all-time girl because she hustled and she was stunning. She probably brought in 70,000 a week.
What?
But my top girl, meaning the one with the highest rate, she was 4,000 an hour with a 4-hour minimum.
So she's taking home 16K, and that's cash. And
Yeah,
and
and she was, I mean, she was a very accomplished, well-known model. She set her own rate. She's the only person who negotiated a better commission out of me.
with you, she said, "Hey,
Yeah,
hey,
yeah,
Kristen,
I was like,
you may get 20
but you
points out.
walked in.
You may get 20 points out of these bitches, but I'm only giving you 10."
When she walked in to meet me for the first time, there were no words for me to
She
even,
was
I was
that
like,
beautiful, that stunning.
yeah, it was like as if Adriana Lima back in the day just walked in your house and you're like,
And you're like, you wanna fucking play this game? I mean, you probably were stunned by this is the game you want to get into, because I mean, I wouldn't say it's a dirty game, but it's a world within itself, and you got to know how to handle yourself. Because these men are gonna try to take advantage of you. They're going to try to cut. Probably you as the madame had to worry about these guys cutting side deals and trying to get them out of your system. You know what I'm saying? Like pull them out of your system and put them into like a sugar daddy deal.
well, and my top girl did that to me. Yeah.
Yeah.
And not the $4,000, but the other one.
Yeah.
I sent her to see someone very high profile. And the next thing you know, she's missing and
Not taking your calls, not doing anything.
Yeah. It was, I mean, I guess I can talk about it now because they're all dead.
Right.
They're all the people that she was seeing. They've all been killed by our government. It was the Gaddafis. So Saeed Gaddafi, Muammar Gaddafi's son, would come over to the US. He would book a hotel room for 4 weeks, 6 weeks. And she was one of the top choices. And
Right.
then all of a sudden, she went missing. And then he went missing. So I was like, man, I knew this. And I wasn't as concerned with him as I was with her because she was,
Such a good earner for you.
yeah. And it was the busy season in
The busy season. I feel like I'm in Florida with spring break.
November, December. I needed her. And I was
So
like,
now what's the busy season in Hook in Manhattan?
it's November and December.
Really? Is
Mm-hmm.
it because more people are in town and before the holidays and the Rockefeller Center and the lights and stuff like that and just based on tourism, I guess, right? Now how would a guy get, well, let's say an affluent guy, that could afford your services, how would he get your information? Just like one of his bros knew about it or something like that? Because I know you didn't. I mean, I don't think you advertised, did you?
Oh, I did advertise. I spent 30,000 a month on advertising.
Really, like on Backpage?
No, never Backpage. Back in the day, it was New York Magazine, right? So
right.
you took a small little ad, and it was like $1,000 a week or something for the size of a business card. I took out a whole page for like $3,000 a week.
Yeah.
And I got a lot of business through that. But back in the beginning, I went out and found clients. That's how I found them.
So you
That's
get
how I
all
found girls.
you get all just straight fucking hot, sexed out, and go to these high end, steakhouses and sushi, just all the high end
The
restaurants.
membership clubs, the
Right.
Cipriani of downtown. They used to have, I think it's closed now, Grand Havana Room was like $30,000 membership. I paid for that. And I used to just take like one girl, we'd go out to dinner and I'd give some cards, I'd network, I'd talk to people. And I got a lot of business that way. And then I think from there, like guys just talk about these things and they refer their friends,
It
but
probably
the
got.
high-end business was either me finding it or New York Mag.
And now, when did that start? Like, because you saw Eliot Spitzer, he's busting these prostitution rings. You're sizing it up. You're like, oh my God, I'm dealing with a bunch of finance bros, being a bunch of dicks, having to work here on Wall Street. I can do this. And you go out and get your first girl, which you said you remembered, and she was with you clear till the day they got you. But it just probably grew and grew and grew. I mean, would you have guys that would be like that? Probably every one of them was married, probably close to it.
High percentage of married men. Mhm.
Right. And then, they would just call you and, now what if a new guy that you didn't know tried to solicit services? Did they have to have like a recommendation or something like that where you could, back check them?
They had to meet my verification process, which is like, okay, well, give us your cell phone, give us your work phone. We need to call back and hear your voice on the machine.
Right.
Right. Okay. So that's step number one. We're Googling also. We're using like Intellus to do background.
Right.
We're doing a number of things until we feel secure.
Right.
And some guys were like, well, I don't want to give you my work number. Okay, where do you live? And they're going to say, I live here. And I'm looking up their street. Well, what's across the street from your house? Like I'm asking enough questions to where I feel like they are who they say they are.
Right.
Okay, well, you don't want to give me your work number. I have to verify you somehow.
Right.
What do you suggest? And they're going to give me some sort of suggestion because they want an appointment. So,
and if they're not willing to,
they don't get an appointment.
the chances are they're not good enough to be in your little circle. And
Yep,
they could be up
that's
to
how I ran things. People were that's why people are like, oh, did you have any problems with clients? I had very few because I just had, standards.
You probably had more problems with girls. I mean,
yes.
oh my God, from girls are in this particular industry are so flighty at times where are they going to show up? Are they going to be on time? And I got to think that you having the highest end of this particular industry, you were impeccable on being on time and being well dressed and having your nails done and having your lashes done and having, looking good and staying in shape. There wasn't just, you weren't, just dealing with the average, it was a lot of money because the service was white glove hooker service, so to speak.
And, we're going into high-end hotels, the Carlisle,
Right.
the Ritz, the Four Seasons. So it's like, okay, how are you going to dress? I want you in like a nice jeans or black slacks and a t-shirt, I don't want you to attract attention.
Right.
So, there's you kind of have to look old money versus new money.
Right.
As opposed to, other agencies. There are a lot of other agencies that, were in New York, but their price points were much lower. And so, the way they advertised and marketed their agencies was much different than mine.
Now, was yours the highest? I mean, did you have the highest, the American Express black card of hookers? Was that your stuff? Was that your girls?
I think so, but at my height, I probably had 6 agencies. So I catered to all price points, right? I had like the super exclusive $2,500 an hour or more. Then I had $1,000 or more an hour. Then I had like your average higher end in-call, $500 to $800 for an in-call. Then this is just in Manhattan. Then I had a party girl agency, right? $800 an hour if you were partying.
Party girls meaning you're just like they're gonna sit at my table and drink my champagne and I'm not getting nothing.
No, like if you're partying at home and you need a friend.
Oh, okay, all right, okay, I got it.
Because right, a lot of the stockbrokers, the real estate developers, right? These guys go on, 3-day cocaine benders, and
right.
they run out of friends by day 1.
Right.
So. But they still got drugs.
They still got coke, so we ran out of bitches, so we got to get some more girls. Did it ever come, Kristin, did it ever come where you had such a high demand where you had more clients than you did girls?
the whole time.
Like I'm always,
The
I
whole
need
time.
five more
Except for the
girls.
very beginning. I was always struggling to keep up with the demand,
Right.
which is why I opened the body rub locations, right? I had two body rubs, which were cash cows, but I opened them because I needed to get a different caliber of woman. I needed to get girls that maybe were okay with, rub and tug massage. And then they would see, okay, this girl just made 5 grand for going on a party call.
Right.
She really didn't do anything because the guy's all coked out,
Right.
right?
Right.
So why don't I make that
It
5 grand?
was almost like, and I hate to use this word, almost like a grooming, almost like a grooming deal. If you'll rub and tug, then you'll go be a party girl and you'll make this much more with that much less work of having to deal with a
Right.
rub and tug.
Right, right.
Now,
Because I understood for some women, you know, uh, just jumping into escorting was scary. But they're okay with, college cutie. They're okay with doing a massage. And once they get a bit more acclimated to that environment, and then they make friends, right? Because I use those apartments as drop points for the money. They all had safes. So they'd meet the girls who were doing some of the out calls, and the girls would tell them, like, hey, why don't you come with me next time? Like this client, I've seen him 5 times. He's super easy. He wants to model thongs for us, women's thongs. That's all you're gonna do. And then the girl's like, yeah, I definitely want to do that for $5,000.
yeah, I got this guy, fucking weirdo who wants to wear a tea bag and doesn't even want to put his cock inside me, so I'll take it, right?
Right. Yeah.
Now on the
So
on the rub and tugs, were those like legitimate, open to the public businesses, or and did the
no,
city,
no. I
because
mean,
the
they were still
city,
underground, but they were cash cows, right? We would see 8 to 10 clients a day, every single day.
would it be like
Without fail.
you'd get a hotel room and
No, I had apartments.
apartments, so you'd have
Real apartments.
God,
I
you
had
had.
apartments in Boston, Philly, DC, 3 in New York, 3 or 4.
I mean, I'm not trying to be. I'm sure you've been asked every question in the world, but like the amount of money, Kristin, that you probably made was astronomical. I mean,
Yeah.
when you were really, I mean, when you got the rub and tugs in multiple cities, you got 4 or 5 or 6 different levels of agencies, ranging from 2,500 an hour to 500 an hour for a party girl, and a book of 10,000 potential people that have used your services. My God, you had to have help. You couldn't have done that all on your own.
I had an office, like a house managers for the locations, and then I had an office team. And then at some point when we were so busy, I opened a call center in Uruguay. I opened my own call center, so that way I had like a graphic designer and all the different things for the other needs of the business. But it was like people are like, well, what'd you do with your money? I don't know, because I was always working. I did not enjoy it.
No.
Because, late at night is busy. And so I was always paranoid about things going wrong. And,
Oh, you probably are always a nervous wreck. Did my
100%.
high-end girl make it on time? Did she do a good
Right.
job? This is a new client. He's a big fucking whale. If I can hook him, so you're always thinking, you're always thinking about and then when you got that many people, shit goes wrong. Girls are late. Girls get sick.
All the
They
time,
can't find
every single moment of the day,
Yes.
something was going
I
wrong.
can't find a babysitter for my kid. My husband, my baby daddy is causing me fucking problems. My car's broken. All the shit, right?
All the shit. And, I think, that's how we were also so busy is we get these new clients, right? They book through the phone booker. They have a great experience. Afterwards, I'm going to call them. And I'm going to thank them if they spent a certain amount of money and
Sure.
tell them they can call my own cell phone for a personal recommendation, because who doesn't want to talk to the
Right.
madam?
Who wants to
So-
talk to the main to the
Right,
to the madam
yeah.
to the madam?
So my phone was always busy. The phone bookers were paid commission. So once we started keeping track of the history of the clients, they would go through and they would send text messages. Hey, I have a great girl I think you'd like today. Do you want to come in? And they would go through and solicit business. So we weren't just sitting around waiting for the phone to ring. We were actively going out and getting
No, it
clients.
reminds me of Wolf of Wall Street when they're all in that one little garage and the fucking phone's ringing nonstop and they're selling penny stocks and going fucking crazy, and it's like a little sweatshop, So, when they finally got you, how did they get you? Because I mean, it seems like you had it so down. And well, first of all, how did the girls? I'm sure the girls collected the money that night. You have to. Right.
Yeah.
And
before the session starts. So that's how I keep track of them for safety purposes. They get to the call. They know it's either cash or credit card. A lot of times it's credit card. They get the imprint. Then they call me and say, hey, I'm here. That means the time starts.
Right.
I'm timing them. If it's an hour, at the 50-minute, 55-minute mark, I'm calling them back. Hey, I'm texting them. Are you leaving or are you staying or going?
Right, because you need to know if you need to book another hour.
Renegotiate something.
Right.
Right, because a lot of the girls, I taught them and trained them to listen, try to get an extension. This is how you get an extension. You go there with a bottle of wine, especially if a guy's paying $800 for a hotel room. He can afford another hour.
Right.
Go with a bottle of wine, talk to him about his day, be charming, don't get to the act, because once you get to the act, that dopamine rush is over and so's the money.
Right.
So
Right.
and people who have that much money, they're not going to cry if they spend another 2 hours with you, if you're making them feel good and important.
Right.
So,
right. And men, because we're so fucking stupid, are so easy to manipulate, because we think with our penises and our attitudes. And so like if you're stroking both, you're going to be there for a while.
100%. If you're making this guy who maybe
maybe his wife's a little bit
feeling so validated in other areas in his life. If you're making him feel like $1 million, and he's got the money, $2,000 more is not going to make him cry. I promise.
No, you're right. When he's spending $800 for the room, and you're telling him that he's fucking a cool guy, and he's got a bitch ass wife at home that fucking bitches at him all the time, and you're telling him that he's fucking Superman, and you really don't get to the act till about the 90-minute mark, just because you've really just had a really good time with the guy, probably a better time than he's had with a woman in the fucking however long he's been married miserably to this fat hog in fucking New Jersey, and he's having a good time with a hottie. And so it was all kind of not a con, but it was a work. You were just always working them, always teaching your girls. Now, would you sometimes get a girl that just didn't get it? She might have been really hot, but she just didn't get the aspect of what you were trying to do.
Oh man, I had a stunning model, like a top model. I mean, she was so stunning, tall, skinny. By New York standards, she's like a 15 out of 10.
Yeah. Oh god, a 15. A 15.
Oh yeah, but she was Israeli, and I hate to generalize, but in my experience, there are certain
ethnicities.
Groups like Russian where they're just colder.
They're stiff.
They don't have that warmth.
Yeah.
And she didn't have that warmth. And it was okay because she was so hot. But she worked for me for 3 years. And I would ask a guy on the phone, I would say, listen, it's like 2:00 in the morning. I know you want to see someone, but most of the girls are either already on a call or they're done for the night. It's 2:00 on a Tuesday. They're out.
Right.
So here's who I've got. I've got the college cutie. She's an 8 out of 10. She's maybe 10 pounds overweight, but you're going to have the time of your life with her.
Right.
And then I've got the stunning model, and she's going to walk in your door and take your breath away, but she's going to be in and out of there in 35 to 38 minutes.
And you're going to pay for an hour, and you're going to get 35 minutes of
There'll be no warmth in it.
None.
But you will call me after and you will tell me, holy moly, she's one of the most beautiful girls I've seen up front. But you're right. She was cold and it was quick. So you choose what you want.
I think I would choose a college cutie who had a great attitude and wants to, that's what I would choose. I mean, but I guess a guy who just wanted to get, his rocks off, and with the most hottest, maybe because I've been with hot chicks before. I don't know. Some men.
I think it's also because some of those guys were so curious, right? I initiated a curiosity in them, like, oh, well, she's a model, like she's really hot. Like, I just need to see it.
Right.
almost all of them would choose her. She never once in the history of 3 years of working for me got an extension. Like never once. And guys who booked a girl 2 nights before for 6 hours, she's in and out of there in 40 minutes. I would tell her, listen, he's going to extend. He wants an extension.
Right.
If you leave here in under 2 hours, I'm going to be pissed.
Right.
He would call me at the 45-minute mark. I've already left. He doesn't want me.
Oh.
I would be so upset, but it was inevitably her. But it got me, that strategy got me a lot of regulars because they were like, we love that you told us the truth. We love that she was so stunning and we got to have that experience.
Right.
And that you were so candid about
and you were transparent about it, and you and exactly what you said happened to the
100%. They called me back after.
Yeah.
And the next day they would book the college cutie.
Yeah.
And they would keep the college cutie overnight for $10,000-$12,000.
Oh man.
They'd get her room service. They'd order her a massage because she was that charming.
Right.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, I do know what I'm doing.
Now, was there ever like did you offer like threesomes? And, I mean, I'm sure all of that probably was in play, every variation.
All of that, but the way I did my marketing was so vanilla, like high-end model. And I had all the terms on the websites. And for the most part, clients knew if they were going to call and ask for anything not vanilla, they had to talk to me about it. And so there was a long negotiation process for, out of the norm stuff. If they wanted a threesome, a lot of couples called.
Right.
I had a list of girls that were okay with threesomes, and I would just be like, I'd just send a group text. I've got this going on. Who wants it?
Oh, really?
Yeah, so and the girls would all respond, yes, no, whatever.
And then you would pare it down from there.
I would tell them, listen, set your boundaries. I'll respect them as long as you understand that there's a certain level of expectation with all of the bookings and you're okay with that. But otherwise, set your own boundaries. I got your back no matter what.
At the height of your roster, you had 10,000 guys or 10,000 clients. What was your roster of girls at your height?
A little over 120.
120.
Mm-hmm.
Really? And and you have probably very fond memories of the ones that made you the most money, right? I mean the real worker bees, like the ones that the Gaddafi guy ended up probably sugar daddying. At the end of the day.
I'm a softie, so a lot of girls came to me and I couldn't work with them, but I just liked them. So I would try to give them a job some other way. Like I collected girls as like projects to help. Right. Girls would come to me running from bad relationships, running from pimps, all these things. I would give them places to stay. I just was really trying to help as much as I could.
So if we fast forward to, well, first of all, there's rumors that you were with A-Rod and David Beckham. I had to address that, That
was my top girl, Irma from the David Beckham that came forward with David Beckham.
Really?
Beckham.
That was your top girl was Irma. Mm-hmm. What nationality was Irma?
She's Bosnian, but grew up in Amsterdam.
Ooh. Probably.
Yeah, her family fled when they were young, grew up in Amsterdam. But when I met her, I had a lot of girls come from the UK.
Right.
So, because in the UK, like even a high-end girl only gets like 300 pounds for the hour because there's so much competition from all the Eastern Europeans and the price is very low. So they would come over to the US for 2 or 3 months, work, and then go home. Now,
did you ever find it where different girls from different countries were more or less sexual than the all-American girl? Are American women, for the most part, the way women or men, the way we as youngsters, as we're growing up and getting sexual desires, nobody really teaches us how to fuck. Nobody really like my dad didn't take me aside and said, well, son, this is what you do. You give him a little oral and then, like that just, you learn it through like your friends and trial and error, and some people say that America's way suppressed in the open-mindedness of sex, and other countries are way more, like France and stuff like that, are way more advanced in open-mindedness about things. Did you experience that? And if so, what countries would like these girls be unbelievable at sex compared to like a girl from Kentucky?
I think there's like, maybe some of the Eastern Europeans, like I said, tend to be on the colder side, right? Poland, Russia, Ukraine, I had Belarus. A lot of times I had to lie about where they're from.
Right.
Because clients already have an idea in their head how
they hear Russia and they'll be like, "Oh shit, she's gonna stab me."
But a lot of the Spanish women,
oh yeah,
were especially the ones that traveled, right? I had girls coming from Colombia, Brazil. They did very well. They were highly requested. And then I think the ones that were just more professional.
Right.
They did the best. Like Irma coming from the UK. Irma always brought with her 2 girls. It was great for me. She knew which time to come to the country for the busy season because they were there to make money. They never turned down a call, like, ever.
Could Irma work 7 nights?
Mostly, yeah.
Yeah.
But Irma was also like a consummate professional, right? She had all the wardrobe. She would go and get her hair blown out and all the things.
So she would look as hot as you are right now. Like, I mean, just fucking stunning.
Much hotter, much harder. And she was also so charming that, that you couldn't help but like her. The first time I met her, I was like, oh my gosh, she's so charming. Wow.
And then you saw money signs. You're like, man, I am going to fucking clean up on this chick.
You know what? She had been working in the UK and she told me all about how it was. And I feel like she actually taught me some things about the business because I didn't never have an experience of being with the clients. And she would tell me, no, this is how we're going to do this. I'm going to go here and bring this girl that's with me in. And because she was 100% business. So she'd go to a call trying to bring her 2 friends that traveled with her.
Right.
The next thing you know, I've got this client who's like, yeah, I want to bring her friend. I'm going to pay 10 grand for the friend. I'll keep her for the rest of the.
I want to get an extension. I want the friend.
Yeah,
and what started out as a $7,500 call, you're now up to 20 G's, right?
25. And I'm like, don't mess those credit card imprints up.
Did they have the old school where they went like that?
No. You know what? The turnover was so high that I gave girls the imprint and taught them how to use their lipstick to rub.
Really?
To rub the credit card, because I was like, well, what are the options? I can buy everyone a thing, but half the time a girl starts and then she's
going to lose it.
Yeah, the turnover was very high. Like the girls that did well, they ended up staying for a long time.
Right.
But then, other girls would start, they'd leave. It was
and there was also probably some firing going on from you. Like, if you get a girl that would be shitty and the client would be calling up wanting his money back, just all the bullshit you'd have to deal with on a girl that had a bad attitude, then you're going to have to make that call. Listen, I'm not going to use you anymore because, the guy this really good client I had, who's never ever flaked out on me, just fucking blew a call into me and hates your guts and wants his money back. Right? You had that. So you were like a babysitter, a therapist, a madame, a business lady, a banker, a marketer. I mean,
a mom, a best friend,
yeah.
A sister.
Now, how long were you with baby daddy? How long were you with him?
My son's father, not long. 6 months.
6 months. Probably, actually, I don't know the guy, and I'm not going to say shit about the guy, but probably the best thing that ever happened to you is not to. You probably at that point didn't need a baby daddy laying around up with a cut. I mean, that's just going to be bad for your business.
No, he wasn't around. My son is only 9. He's 9. So I met him after prison. I had a boyfriend while the final 8 months that I had the agency. I had a boyfriend, and I'm fairly certain he cooperated against me. I mean,
really?
I'm 90% sure that he did that. So
What
yeah.
an asshole.
Yeah, he wanted my client list. Afterwards, he tried, well, when the SWAT team came, right? The SWAT team came, like, so Roger Stone times like 10, right? The SWAT team came. I was on the 12th floor in a New York high rise. There's a knock on the door, bunch of guys with guns. I knew I was going to get arrested, right? The last sort of 8 months of the business, I started just feeling bad about it, right? I was starting to feel bad because I'm watching girls that I loved. They're going on party calls, they're doing drugs. I had a no drug policy, but they're still getting involved in
Right.
things. And I was so drained from the toxicity that I was like, I really want to get out. So I tried to sell the business, right? Because it was making a lot of money. And,
No,
and
I
the
mean,
girl
you
was like,
should be able to show the P&L and motherfuckers be like, I'll pay you 6 times cash flow. Let's go.
Right. Right. So, and the girls were like, please don't close. We need our jobs. So I found some buyers for the business. They bought it for 600,000 cash.
That's pretty damn good. I'm telling you, Kristin, that's pretty fucking strong. I'm just telling
So I
you.
take their money, I put it into the bank, I start training their phone team, I start doing all the things to hand the business over. I gave them like a 40-day close. I'm not kidding. On the 40th day, it was like the 39th day, I send their phone team home. I'm preparing to give them everything. I actually gave them keys to all the apartments on that day. I give them everything. And the next thing you know, my doorman is calling from downstairs in my apartment. He's like, so listen, there's a van outside and the guy in the van has been asking for you. I'm like, van? What do you mean, van? In my head, the money's cleared my account. It's been cleared for 3-4 weeks. He's like, he left an envelope at the front for you. So now I'm fucking scared. I go downstairs, I get the envelope. In the envelope is the president of Commerce Bank fraud department. And it's his card. And he has written me a little note. I need to speak to you about Benjamin Lovell. That's the guy who bought, it made news. That's the guy who bought my business. And I was like, oh my God. I call my attorney before I call anyone else. I'm like, I don't know what this is, who this guy is. He's like, don't call the number. You don't know if it's the feds.
Right.
Let me call him. I give it over to my attorney. I was like, please do this now. I go onto the bank. I check my bank. All of a sudden, my bank account is -$.
Frozen.
My own money, $-. Nothing. I have access to zero money. And
So
I'm like,
hold on, even money that legitimately was yours over the 600, they fucked you up. They fucked you on that too.
yes.
So they have really put the clamps on you.
So that wasn't the cops though. My attorney calls and I'm calling my banker and my banker's like, I don't know what this is, but it looks like Commerce Bank got us to freeze your account. Because he had written the check off of Commerce Bank.
Right.
So apparently this man was an MTA worker who went into Commerce Bank, told them he lost his checkbook. He needed a new checkbook. And they accidentally gave him someone else with the same name's bank account who had millions of dollars. And he went around and spent it. He bought his wife boobs. He bought himself veneers.
And he bought your hooker business.
Yeah, he bought a few other businesses, and so it was indeed.
Now, what does that do for, like, does that completely fuck you?
Oh, yeah, my attorney had to negotiate. I was with Chase at the time. He had to negotiate reopening my account. Every so many days, they would allow me to go there and get a cashier's check for a certain amount, like 100,000.
Yeah, but now you're back in business too, right? Meaning, like, you know, he's not really the legitimate owner because he's fraudulently bought your business. So now you're probably
now I'm stuck with the business I was trying to offload. So like that was one of the many signs of, you know, I was trying to get out. I was trying to do things, and I kept telling myself like, these are all signs something bad is going to happen.
Right.
And then when Spitzer got caught, I knew.
Which was not your service. It was like the Emperor's Club VIP.
Right.
It wasn't your service. It was
Right.
another
But
service.
he had used us for years. I had met him.
Right.
And I knew I took wire transfers from him. I was like, And the girl, Ashley Dupree, also worked for me. We shared her. So I was like, oh, I'm 100% going to go. They're coming. So I called my attorney, that same attorney.
Right.
He told me, Kristin, you can't possibly know. They're probably not coming. I'm like, I know. I'm telling you, I know. I feel it. There's too much money that he has wire transferred. They're going to come. He says, just close down. It's harder to catch you if you're not doing anything wrong. You want it out anyways. Close. So I closed, but I still felt so uneasy that I found another attorney. And I went to this other attorney and he was like, I said, listen, can you go to the prosecutor's offices
and see if I'm on the hit list?
And if they are, you can turn me in because I already know I'm guilty.
Right. You have leverage where you could be there, work for them.
Well, and I had gone around and I got all the documents on Spitzer and
right.
the audio. I had audio recordings. I had all this stuff. So I went around and had, made sure I was going to be okay.
Right. You tightened yourself up, had all your due diligence for the big D-Day.
Yeah. And then
so when he
like 75 grand and yeah, it was a lot of money. And
he goes down to the state attorney.
I don't think he did anything. I gave him a copy of my client list. I gave him a copy of all my credit card receipts. I gave him all these things, audio of Spitzer. I think he went to Spitzer and sold them to Spitzer.
Really fucked you over.
And sold me out because he told me about 2 weeks later. I said, why haven't you done anything? I know this is happening. It's like 13, 14 days later. He said, well, I want you to fax. He was an old school guy. I want you to fax me written authorization that you are telling me this is okay to do because I'm afraid if I open the door, something's going to negatively come out. So why would that be the case? If there's attorney-client privilege,
right.
I paid you. Why would anything come to me? Oh, well, I don't know, blah. I was arrested the next day.
Yeah, he turned on you. That's the guy that fucked you.
Yeah, and he's the one, he left me sitting in Rikers. He left me on a bail when I finally got to see my real trial judge. My trial judge was like, why haven't you filed to reduce Miss Davis's bail? We've asked you. My legal secretary called your office and asked you for a bail application. Why are you not filing to help her?
Think about this, Kristin. Think about what if you would have got a fucking badass bulldog of an attorney. And not that what you haven't experienced in life hasn't made you stronger and a better person. I had some missteps in life too that really caused me some shit. But I was making a lot of money. And then I had that Hogan sex tape came out with me and my wife. And by the way, I have a documentary that Roger's on. It's called Video Killed the Radio Star. It's on Apple TV, Google Play, and Amazon. And Roger's in it because they used my tape, my sex tape of my wife fucking Hulk Hogan. And my video surveillance system got it. And nobody was never supposed to know about it. And one of my employees stole the tape and brokered it to Keith Davidson. And Keith Davidson got arrested by the feds here in Tampa. And because it was Bubba the Love Sponge and Hulk Hogan, they thought it was going to be a clown show as far as, like the prosecution portion. So they no-prossed him. And then they later went on to get Keith Davidson to flip on Michael Cohen using my tape as leverage. They were going to either bring charges back up in Tampa or he was going to give him serve Michael Cohen on a silver platter to him. So they used my sex tape to put Michael Cohen in prison.
Wow.
So I've done some fucked up, stupid, absolute insane shit too, like you. And even at my lowest, when I lost it all, I had a big fucking $5 million mansion, had an airplane, fucking living like a rock star. I was on Howard 101 with Howard Stern and I lost it all. I lost every ounce of it, but deep down it made me a better person. It really, because it made me appreciate things, made me appreciate relationships. It made me appreciate success more so, when you've been at the bottom of your barrel, just like you, probably some of your lowest moments when we were in solitary confinement, or you were in the, mids, the federal mids level, and you're thinking, how much fucking lower can it get? And then you've been able to rebound off of that, and look what you have today. I mean, that makes you appreciate what you have today. You look back at the money that you made, and you're like, oh my God, how could I have been, and I took it all for granted, probably like you did. I'm like, this is never going to I'm never going to lose all this shit. I'm not dumb. And so we both have kind of similar paths in the fact that fortunately I didn't have to do hard time like you, and I want to get into that, but I've suffered some setbacks, and it's so refreshing to see your attitude and how upbeat and how good, just how good you're doing based on, you've been through hell. You've been to prison. People have done some shit, but go to prison and go get put in the shoe and get back to me. What that fucking does to your mentals, right?
Yeah, it was a mess when I came just out of Rikers, not even prison. When I came out of Rikers, I remember my mom came to bail me out when they finally reduced my bail to an amount that we could reach. And she, put up her house. And I remember walking to the car, and I felt air on my face from being it was only 4 months in solitary. And I remember being afraid of that air. Like the air rush just made me feel so anxious. And I was like, oh yeah, man, I'm a mess.
I'm absolutely batshit crazy at this point, aren't you? I mean,
yeah, the sun, it felt so hot. I'm like, I haven't seen the sun. Oh my
it's
God.
Like you're a caged animal, and they're letting you out and freedom. You're not supposed to be free. Like you feel like you're doing something wrong by being out, right?
Like they come at like 4 o'clock in the morning, especially you're in solitary, right? They're doing searches for contraband. So they come at like 4 o'clock in the morning, they start banging all the doors, yelling. So you're asleep. Now you're woken up and you're afraid. And they make you, and it's male officers also, right? So they walk through, it's like a hallway, and here's, the doors on each side. So they walk through the hallway and they tell you, get up and stand naked in your cell with your hands behind your head and your legs spread apart. And you're scared now because they woke you up and that shit scared you.
Right.
And then they make you stand there naked, which is humiliating. And so then they come around to the window, and then they open the door, bend and squat, turn around, open, all this stuff. And you're naked, and they're talking about your body parts. They're making fun of you. Then they come into your cell. They trash everything you have, which is like not much. Maybe you have some letters, a few pictures, a couple of snacks that you might have afforded. And they trash it. They trash your snacks. Then your little Oreos are like garbage on this dirty floor.
Right.
And then they leave. And they do that 2 or 3 times a week. A lot of the girls, and myself included, like they come in, they've walked on your pictures, so you only have 2 things. So now they've crumpled them, and it's all you've got. And so like after they leave, you're crying, you're hysterical, because it's like, I only had these pictures or these letters, and you just trash them, and you already feel so depressed.
So when you're in Rikers, what determined why you were in solitary? Just on the how high profile it was, or were they fucking with you again?
I don't know. They just told me for my own safety, and I would petition to get out. I got out for 1 day, then they moved me right back.
Now, when you were out for that 1 day, you, first of all, you are so easy to talk to, and you're so genuine and most cons can figure out good people from bad people. So I would think that you would have done okay in general pop because the girls would have liked you. I think you, and it would have been less. I mean, being in solitary confinement would be the worst mental.
Solitary confinement in New York City in the summer, where there's no air conditioning and no running water really in your cell. So it was a few heat waves. Man, I thought I was going to die. I had a bloody nose all over my cell. I would just lay there in my own sweat. People die in Rikers because they never come and check on them. And I think that's like the fear of that, the officers sit in this nice
air
room.
Conditioning.
Yeah, air conditioning outside
room.
the unit.
Yeah.
You want to get food, a phone, a shower. you have to bang on your cell wall until they feel like not being lazy and coming to help you. And because they think that you're a disgusting criminal, they're not going to do that.
Even if
So,
somebody as pretty as you, I mean, they had to think.
especially someone that's white. No, like
They had to
really,
think that you
most
were-
of the officers are not white. So
Okay.
now they think that I'm an entitled white chick and they don't want to help me. The first time I tried to get a shower, I'm banging on the wall lightly because I'm timid.
Right.
And nobody's coming. And finally, the girl next to me, she starts banging, bang, 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 get this girl a shower and I want the phone. And she was relentless. She banged on that wall for like 3 minutes. And then somebody finally came and I was like, thank you so much.
Thank you, girl.
It turned out to be Remy Ma and we became friends. Remy Ma, the rapper.
Yeah.
And I didn't know who she was, but I probably would have been far more broken of an individual if she hadn't been in the cell
So
next to me.
after Remy kind of the first time beat on the door and stuck up for you, did you guys then talk? Like, could you talk back and forth? I mean, could you at least talk to each other through the walls or through the
We talked
doors?
through the walls. We passed notes. We had a little hole in the wall. We passed notes when she had her trial and then her sentencing. Well, she had already been blue trial. So when I met her, we actually came in on the same day. So when I met her, it was like trial, you're guilty. So she was awaiting sentencing.
Right.
So, but when she had her sentencing, through the wall, she handed me her sentencing, what she intended to say. And then I was like, you can't say any of this because it's going to end very badly for you because you're justifying what you did and giving them excuses. They don't care. You're now guilty.
Right.
You literally just have to stand up there and say, like, I'm sorry, I wish I had never done this.
Right.
Please give me leniency. So we went back and forth over that. I was there when she got married to Papoose. I gave her like a little blue thing for her. Like I watched, and the system did her so dirty. The system really did her dirty. She didn't have a chance. She went to trial with an all-white jury, and she's a terror squad rapper. She was never going to get a fair break.
What if you would have had a badass attorney that rolled up in there and says, listen, we got all this shit you need to validate, split, whatever, Eliot even more. We got tapes. We got it all. My client wants to make a deal. She'll make a deal for probation or very little jail time, but we got what the fuck you guys need instead of none of your stuff being used. And at the end of the day, Spitzer probably ended up getting it, buying it, paying a premium for it. And your life could have been way different, I mean, if you had not a piece of shit attorney. But then I think the Dan dude ended up being a pretty badass attorney. Your next one, right?
Well, Dan was the first attorney, right, that helped me with the bank account and all the different things. He'd been my long-term attorney. He just didn't tell me what I wanted to hear. Mark Heller told me what I wanted to hear. He took my money. Then he took more money from my mother, told her it was for bail, and then kept it. And he's like a piece of shit. If you look him up now, 2 years ago, he was permanently disbarred.
Good.
He was suspended twice actually, and then permanently disbarred. The New York Times wrote him up as being like the worst attorney in New York because he scammed me, Chris Cornell from Soundgarden, John and Kate from John and Kate +8, former Governor David Patterson of New York. He scammed everyone. He is a horrible piece of shit human being.
So on the night, and when they come to take you down, the doorman says there's a van, and at that point,
well, that was just the bank account. So
that was
when
a bank account.
Did come to me, they came for me. It was about a month later,
right?
When Spitzer, and then it was the SWAT team at my door, right? 40 officers.
Now, were you by yourself or were you with the
No,
boyfriend?
The boyfriend was there. There was a knock on the door, and the boyfriend said, "It's the SWAT team. What do you want me to do?" And I said, "Well, we're 12 floors up. What am I going to do?
Right.
Shimmy down the fire escape? I mean, open the door." And they came in. They had all the gear on, battering rams, guns drawn, and they were like, "Who's Kristin Davis?" And I was like, "Who do you think? There's one woman." Like,
it's not him.
Yeah, but I was like, "What do you mean, who's Kristin Davis?" And I was kind of confused, and And they looked at the boyfriend, what's your name? No, they didn't even ask him his name. They're like, who are you? I'm the boyfriend. You can leave. And they
Okay.
let him take his laptop, his phones, some of his stuff, and he left.
He could have
I
taken
was
some
like,
of your
he was
stuff.
100% in on it.
Oh, he was.
He must have been. Like, who lets you take like technology out of, you know,
Oh, you're right.
out of the house?
But
Yeah,
why would he do you like that? Like, I mean,
I'm sure because they were
jealousy?
investigating, so he didn't want to get in trouble. He got immunity. But then afterwards, he tried to start an agency. One of the girls who used to work for me about 8 months later said, I need to see you. Can we have lunch? And I had lunch with her, and she said, I don't want you to be mad. I've been dating Jonathan. And I'm like, okay, well, first of all, he's a scumbag. Why
Right,
would
he's a
you?
piece of shit, so good luck
Yeah,
to
and
you.
she goes, and he has your client list, and he tried to, that's how we reconnected. He put an ad out trying to find girls, but he's not been able, he has part of your client list. He's not been able to actually open anything. He
Well,
just
because he
can't do
can't
it.
work it. He didn't know how to
Yeah,
work
because
it.
he just doesn't, he doesn't know how
No
to
guy wants to book a girl through a guy.
100%.
I mean, like, we want you.
Feels uncomfortable when a guy answers the
Yeah.
phone. They want a woman to answer the
Right.
phone.
We want a woman that looks like you, book, because we're thinking, fuck, if this is the girl that's booking, what's the one that's going to show
Right.
up, right?
That's right.
So they arrest you. It's the whole big, do they perp walk you, make it a big fucking news story?
Yeah, they perp walked me. I had shackles. My wrists were shackled around my waist. My legs were shackled together. They walked me to the, paddy wagon, and they didn't know that, everything I had already closed everything down. So they took me to all the apartments that I ever had in Manhattan. So like 12 different apartments they tried to take me to search. And I would say, listen, everything's closed. You don't need, it's cold back here. I'm on a hard bench. Just take me to the precinct so I can start making some calls. Like nothing is open. I'll be honest with you. Nothing's open.
Right. I'd tell you if something was open.
Yeah, yeah. So they were going to take me to all the places, but they took me to, I think, three. And then they tried to take me back and forth to Rikers. But, I had already been indicted in a secret grand jury trial. So they needed the indictment, which they didn't have, and they couldn't put me to Rikers. So they tried twice to take me to Rikers. They ended up just throwing me in a cell in the precinct until the next day.
Is the precinct way better than Rikers? It's got to be, doesn't it?
No, you're sitting there on a hard bench, with no clothes, no real bathroom. Rikers, on the other hand, they throw you into a cell in intake with 30 other women. Most of them are going through withdrawals. They're throwing up in front of you on the corner. There's no bathroom. There's one toilet, but they've already thrown it up in it and or dumped food in it. So there's like flies and maggots coming off the toilet. So you're just sitting there like, you've got people shaking and convulsing on the floor. And you're just sitting there waiting to be housed. I think I was there for like a day and a half waiting to be housed. Like it was over 24 hours and I never got to go pee. I think they took me to medical and I was able to go to the bathroom there.
So we go through Rikers, you do your time. You do the 2010 governor campaign. You actually do pretty well. The debate went. I think the debate went really well for you. You kind of got screwed over on being typecast, and you had to create a different party in order to be a candidate, which wasn't advantageous for you at all. The odds were against you, but I think you showed people during this process, the 2010 campaign, I think you showed people, the average person, and that's when I first kind of got on my radar when you ran. I didn't really know the other stuff, the Spitzer stuff, but I knew about when you were running for governor. And at that point, I know that I was like, wow, how can a chick be as hot as she is and be this smart and this buttoned up? And I think that it showed people the smart, not bubbly, big-titted Barbie beach blonde that you are, that you look like, very beautiful. But it showed them that, wow, beautiful chicks can be smart and be politicized. I think it did, even though the outcome didn't work out the way we'd like it. I think you garnered a lot of fans and support from doing that. I do.
Yeah, and the point was we didn't expect to win.
No.
We were protesting, and the funnest moments in Roger Stone's life, because he hated Spitzer so much. And we did all the fun things with lots of pretty women, and we marched in parades, and we did fun things that he was like having the time of his life.
Sure.
So we were really trying to get 50,000 votes, to create a new party. We didn't do that. You
got a ton of publicity. Great for the brand, and I think that long term that helped you in an odd kind of way. I really do. I think that helped you a lot. I mean, it didn't erase your past, and it didn't erase what you had coming up, what you got back into a little bit. But I think that it softened your brand a little bit. I think
that the emergence of OnlyFans has made people more accustomed to seeing certain things.
Yes.
And back in my day, it didn't exist, and Facebook was very new. So people only knew about me what they would read,
right.
And they had all kinds of misconceptions. I was accused repeatedly of, trafficking women, of all these things, like I'm some horrible person. So I had all of these obstacles against me in terms of, what people's impression of me.
And what I find so odd nowadays, there's still just old-fashioned hooking going around. I mean, but the authorities and everybody wants to call it human trafficking, when really there's just old-fashioned hooking going on. It maybe a guy's booking it, maybe a girl's booking it on her own, however it's happening, it's no longer old-fashioned hooking. It's human trafficking. Even though that girl
everyone is being trafficked.
Yes,
they did
exactly. Even though the girl drove her own car to the place,
put her own.
Yeah.
She's done all the things.
Yeah,
she booked her own appointment, but she's being trafficked
from her own phone. The guy only paid her. There was no ultimatums. If you don't show up, I'm going to cut your fucking legs off. I mean, it was just like guy A talks to girl B, and they do said act C. That now, because all these sheriffs and all these politicians know these American hotspots, that's now officially human trafficking, And
I think that's, because of the way that the world is right now, more women are apt to do this, right? We're in an economic recession. People need money, but also OnlyFans has normalized the seeing of nudity and the selling of some sort of aspect of yourself, that more women are okay with this world. And I mean, you would be surprised. When I started my TikTok, I never put out content before because I'm so conditioned to not telling my story anymore.
Right.
Because it didn't work for me in politics. I had to make myself super small to get business. And at some point, and now it's like,
it's completely flipped.
I get 30 DMs a week of women who are like, can I work for you?
Yeah.
I would have no problems ever recruiting women if I was still in the industry.
But it would be human. It would be Kristin M. Davis back in the game, but now she's not just a madame. She's a human trafficker. Even though,
God forbid these girls actually want to work in this world.
Yeah, God forbid that, Cindy got little Cindy got a hold of Kristin, and you could show all the correspondence back and forth where you said, Cindy, do you really know what you're getting into? This is, this and this and this and this, and, are you sure you really want to do this? And she's like, absolutely I do. And be like, okay, I can get you started. I know the ins and outs of it, but I want to make sure that no, I really want to do it. Okay, she has a couple great experiences. They happen to be running a fucking sting operation, and next thing you know, you're getting a call from an undercover agent that's trying to book a girl because they want to get you for human trafficking.
I know. And they hate me. They do. They totally hate me. They want me to go to jail for a long time.
So they do, and they did.
Because of Roger.
Roger has a lot to do with it. I mean, Roger, is a very polarizing guy. And then when you've aligned yourself with the most polarizing president, and they took one shot at you and damn near got you, but they didn't. Roger. To Roger's credit, though, Roger don't give a fuck. Like, he does not.
No, he doesn't. It's probably why I don't give a fuck either, because I think I've already had that in me. Otherwise, I would have stayed in finance. But then now when you're around someone like him, it's like, okay, well, this is just normal.
So they take another hack at you. You do your 2010, gubernatorial race. You do pretty well. You got a lot of eyeballs on you. I think a lot of people that had you stereotyped as just some, when you think of a madame, you don't think of somebody that looks like or acts like you. You think of, kind of an older, heavy-set girl, that's smoking a Marlboro, that's booking these girls, not
drinking some Jack Daniels.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think that you kind of changed, the path of what people thought about you a lot through that. But that pissed them off. That didn't, that the Spitzer you did your time for the Spitzer deal. Like, I don't think you got any breaks. I think you did 4 months, 3 months, And
I gave them all my money. I signed over 100% of my money.
Yeah. And so then they come and take another hack at you in August of 13. I mean, so how did we get from the gubernatorial deal doing so to dealing drugs? And here's the thing: dealing drugs in itself is a misconception and a play on words. You weren't importing kilos of heroin or cocaine from Colombia. You were giving away, you were giving some of the girls your Ambien or your Xanax or stuff that was prescribed to you. You weren't, when it says drug dealing, that's the worst. They're trying to put you in a whole nother category than what you really were. And what you really were is what we've all done. And that's, we've shared some of our prescriptions with our friends. I mean, that's my understanding of of how bad they fucked you. And because I talked to Roger and he said, I'll tell you what her drug dealing, I'll tell you the extent of her drug dealing. She was handing out a few of her pills to her friends, like we all do. And they got her as a full-blown drug dealer, and she did.
The FBI issued a press release.
Yes, I mean, she did.
The war on drugs in New York City. We have put a big dent in it, and all I did was, I had, to my credit, I had a friend who I knew sold pills.
Yeah,
and that friend had been a friend for a number of years, and when I came out of Rikers, I needed some Xanax because I was like afraid to leave my house, and I didn't have a doctor. I didn't have anyone I could ask. So for a very short period of time, I bought some pills off of my friend. So this was my long-term friend that I knew. At some point, that was 2008. So in 2012, that same friend called me and said the same thing that I basically said to him in 2008, that I can't sleep. Could he get me some Xanax? He actually in 2008 ended up referring me to a psychiatrist who I saw for a few years.
And you had, and you
I was going through like agoraphobia. I couldn't sleep. Fast forward to 2012. He called me and asked me for the same thing. He had a girlfriend. I've known the two of them. We used to go to yoga together. He says, listen, Tasha can't sleep. Do you have any excess pills from your prescription? Yeah. And I was like, I'll bring them right over.
It's like what all of us do, man. Hey, you got a couple Xannies? Yeah, I got them. I'm not going to give you a bunch because I need them for myself, but I got a couple extra. No big deal.
And he had already apparently been arrested. So he was an informant at that time.
He was wired.
I did not know that. I ran him over, whatever I had left, 15 pills. I gave him the pills. I said, here you guys go, because there was two of them, the girlfriend and him. And then he asked me on another occasion, and then on that occasion, he was like, listen, do you have any Adderall? I didn't have any Adderall. But I stupidly was like, you know what? I'm going to ask the psychiatrist for some Adderall for you.
Yeah.
I'll help you out because you were there for me in 2008 when I needed you. So on one occasion, I got him a bottle of my own Adderall and gave it to him. I didn't sell it to him. I gave it.
The judge even said there's no difference between selling pills and giving them away. Well, there really is a difference. There really is.
Not in the eyes of the law.
I mean, listen, Judge, you're a very smart man. You're a judge for a reason, but there's a big difference between giving your friends a little bit of a hookup and out there on the corner selling them. There's a big difference.
He said to me, you already had your second chance. You shouldn't have friends like this. And I think you need to serve some prison time. We really thought for that I was going to get 6 months probation, a year probation. No, he gave me 2 years in prison.
2 fucking years over hooking a friend up.
Well, and the thing is, they really wanted Roger that whole time.
So this was during the Mueller deal, right?
No, this was 2013. They wanted Roger. We were running. Here's the part that gets left out of certain things. I was then the libertarian candidate. They nominated me for mayor. I said no to mayor. I wanted to be the comptroller of New York because that's a finance position. My background is finance.
It's where you're more qualified.
Right. So in April, I gave the friend the pills December of 2012. Fast forward 4 months, I'm still free. It's 2013 April. I'm free. The libertarians nominate me for mayor. I say no. We drop down to comptroller. We file with the New York Finance Board. In July, I have been officially the libertarian candidate for 3 months. In July, Eliot Spitzer jumps into my race. The New York media for 1 month explodes. The most interesting thing in New York politics was that race.
Bullshit comptroller fucking race is the most important, sexiest race of all of New York City.
Roger's having a field day.
Right.
Because he's looked forward to this for his entire life, I feel like. So, and Roger was close to Senator Joe Bruno, who was the head of the Senate. So everyone was like, Team Kristin, this is going to be the funnest thing we've ever done for our entire political career.
Right.
Because I'm out there talking shit about Spitzer on all the stations. I'm everywhere reminding him that he's an unpunished criminal, right? Because when he was in 2007, one of his first acts as governor was to change the penalty for a man getting caught with a prostitute. It was a misdemeanor. He made it a felony. Hypocrisy.
Oh, and the media probably ate that up.
Oh, it was everywhere. I was arrested 3 weeks after he jumped into my race for a crime that I committed 10 months prior.
Now,
it was...
Did they have to, do you think that it wasn't on their radar? They were going to do nothing with it until Spitzer said, what do we got on this bitch?
I feel like that is the case.
What do we got on this bitch? Well, we had this dude. She gave him a couple pills, I don't know. Fuck. Look, get her. Go get her. I don't give a fuck how bad or shitty this case could be. We got to get her perp walked because she's fucking my world up.
Yep. I think that's exactly how it happened. I think that also because Roger and Spitzer have been at like a lifetime war, right? Very well known. And I think there was something there that he also wanted to take Roger out. And
he wanted to just maybe
they wanted me to flip on Roger, and I didn't flip on Roger.
No. Did they come to you with a deal? Be like, listen, tell us what you know on Roger Stone. Tell us all the dirt, where all the bodies are hidden, and you'll do probation. And you're like, fuck you, I don't know anything about him.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it took them a while because when they first arrested me, the same day they arrested me, that old friend, he had turned in my psychiatrist. And so they went to that psychiatrist's office to search it, and he committed suicide.
Now, what the fuck is this? What did they have so hard on your old friend that allowed him to...
I don't know. I'll never know. Because he got off with nothing. It didn't even make the news.
They came to him and said, what do you got on Kristin Davis? Because they were on a fish finding expedition. So then he's like, he probably got in a little bit of trouble somehow, way, shape, or form, and he threw your name out there. They bid on it. he first took you down, and then they wanted to go a step further to take the prescriber down, and the guy and the psychologist killed himself.
He did. Well, and it goes, even if you take it back one step further, which is interesting, this rabbit hole. So Irma, the one with Beckham,
the hottie.
So I had a going to prison party. Lainey Spicer threw me a going to prison party, and we
My
had
girl
it at
Lainey, I love Lainey.
the Key Club in New York. So we went to the Key Club, and Irma shows up, and she's completely drunk, and she tells me, "I need to tell you something. I feel so bad. I need to tell you. I've been an FBI informant. I've been trying to set you up for a number of years. Every time I asked you to do something," because she would call me, she's not a U.S. citizen. She'd call me, "Kristin, I have a $20,000 check. Can you help me cash it? Can you do this? Can you do that?" And I would always say, no, I don't want to be involved. I'm not going to do that. And she said, I was doing that because they were directing me to do that. And she was the one who got the mutual friend, because we all knew each other, right?
She was the one that got
the mutual friend in trouble, and also the psychiatrist, because it was her psychiatrist.
What did Irma do to get on the FBI? What do you think?
At that time, Irma hadn't done anything. Irma was in love with someone, a boyfriend, who had been arrested for dealing meth. So she was doing all of this to help. Not even help herself.
Her methed out fucking white trash boyfriend.
But I have since learned, because I have talked to Irma in the last few months. Irma ended up years later dealing drugs herself and getting caught and serving 5 years in prison. But she's out now. She just recently got out. And I am also been informed that the whole time she was trying to set me up, she was also trying to set Roger up.
Now, did Roger know Irma?
Well, yes. I introduced him to Irma because Irma was one of the women that, had seen Spitzer.
Right,
and so
right.
Irma was vocal about Spitzer.
So Roger would want to know that.
Campaigns, we needed her to talk, and I was still friendly with her. I still loved her.
So the fucking FBI was that fucking dirty and dug that deep to make inroads with Irma to get to you, to get to Roger. That's kind of that's kind of the strings that we're pulling here, aren't we? Kind of?
Mm-hmm.
And they got to Irma by her fucking scumbag, douchebag boyfriend. So they lean on her and say, listen, we need you to lean on Kristin. And with Kristin comes potentially Roger, because you know Roger. And you guys were just, thank God you and Roger never did anything illicit around her, or they would have gotten you earlier. Or gotten even more shit to stick, right?
Irma knew, other people that worked for Roger, because Irma was, helped, volunteered with the campaign. She did things. So she met other people. So she was able to go to them and be like, hey, I know the whole organization.
Right, which she did.
I know everybody because and Irma was also beautiful. So, of course, every man that worked for my campaign, that worked for Roger, wanted to hang out with Irma.
Right.
Like, who didn't?
And every FBI fucking agent that she meets with is just goony gaga as well. Now, Kristin, has your story ever been told outside of the media that you've done, or like is there should be? I mean, Get Me Roger Stone was one of the best documentaries ever. Why couldn't you get the people that did his doc to do your doc? This is so fucking unbelievably interesting, and has so many different twists. First of all, if you look at just the average guy, 25 to 60, they like pretty women, they like hooking, they like money, they like salacious, they like girls that go to prison, if you look at half of the number one podcasting things and things that are on Netflix, it's all about crime stories and doing this and that. And so all you really were guilty of, regardless of what they charged you with, because in your Wikipedia it says drug dealing. But if you look at it, and I've talked to Roger about it, so I kind of had a little backstory to it. Like in Roger, again, like I said, Roger said it would be equivalent to you giving me a few of your Xanaxes and me giving you a couple of Ambien. That was about what it was equivalent to. So I knew it wasn't full blown, like Irma's douchebag boyfriend, full blown fucking illicit drug dealing. So, but they wanted to make it sound like that. So I mean, you did hard time for that. You did 2 years in mids, right? I mean, your story is
in a halfway house. Yeah.
Yeah, you have such a great story. I swear to God.
When I came out, it was right when Trump was running the first time, 2015, 2016. And, I hadn't talked to Roger. I didn't want to work with Roger because I was just like, you know what? Fuck politics.
Yeah.
I have been through the ringer. I don't want to, I knew also I had to do time in a halfway house. So, before going to prison, I went to cosmetology school because I needed to have a job with
a skill set.
I knew, and a location. They wanted you to be there. And I was doing waxing and doing a few things, and it was so stress-free. I was happy. I was like, you know what? I know I'm not making the money. Eventually, I'll make more money because I came out with no money.
Right.
$60 in a halfway house. And I quickly got a job, and the people who gave me a chance, they're like, listen, we know what you've been through. We know you're in a halfway house. We're going to sign all the papers to make sure that you can come here. And they had to have a retail location or an office space. So I was doing this job completely happy, no stress. And then when Trump got into office, Roger also got kicked out of his apartment. And I had gone to stay there when I had nowhere to stay and I was pregnant. And then I moved out and he said, Kristin, I need you to come back and work for me. Please. What can I do? You don't even have to do hardly anything. I need you to, find me an apartment. That's the first thing. And I need you to do like 10 hours of work a week. But it has to be 100% me now because I've helped do this for this sitting president. I might not have another chance at this.
Right.
It's going to be my time for the next, hopefully 4 years. Also, in terms of business, in terms of
being connected,
Yeah. And I was like, he's like, so I need it to be about me. And I was like, you know what? That's fine. I want to be there for my kid. I want to do the things that I need to do. I don't need anything. And I just stopped telling my story and I stopped shopping myself. And then as time went on, I created this PR firm and I got more clients, and I have to go around sometimes with these clients to events and do things. And conservatives have not been kind to me. I will be very honest.
I don't understand why. I don't know why.
Everybody's grift and all their scams.
Right.
And I've watched them from the Charlie Kirks. I've watched them all come into the scene because I've been around longer. And, and I've also experienced a lot of negativity. So I just stopped telling my story, and we stopped trying to shop it. And I work behind the scenes. And then I get these big clients like a Giuliani or a Flynn or even Bobby Kennedy.
Right. I know Bobby. And by the way, I like Bobby Kennedy. I really do. I think the guy's straight up. I know he knows your story. I would be interested to know what's Bobby Kennedy's rap on. I'm mesmerized by your story. I want to take it to a doc right now. What does Bobby Kennedy think?
So I did Bobby's book, the Fauci book, right? And this, picture has circulated all over the media with Roger, Flynn, and Bobby.
Right.
My picture is from my Instagram, and everybody's taken it and been like, Bobby is with these guys. And I'm like,
it's my fucking picture. Where's my money?
Bobby told me, Kristin, I don't care what you've done. You're fantastic. You've helped me so much. I love you. You're great. But then on the same token, as soon as I accidentally made news, right? I worked behind the scenes for a year and a half quiet like a mouse. All the reporters know me. I have 15 years of experience with reporters. It's the same reporters. They haven't left. They're all just moved jobs. So I know the Fox, the Times, all the people. So I'm talking to them. They're not outing me. They know that they want a connection to Bobby. So they're not outing me. They're not writing about me. They're also mostly not scumbags. So they're like, we don't want to be shitty to you. You've helped us over the years and we want to come to you.
And they also know that you kind of got a shitty deal. Like they know that it's a lot. It's not as advertised. Your rap isn't as advertised. There's a caveat to your rap. You know what I'm saying?
Right. So nobody outed me. And then one radar reporter, Radar Online, the campaign gives me his phone number. They say, listen, he's shopping, he's snooping around on a hit piece that's not true. I said, you know what, give it to me. I'll handle it. The campaign didn't know how to block an article. They were not, any of them were experienced with running a campaign, and I have done many campaigns with Roger. So I call this reporter, we go back and forth. He's got some false story, some woman talking about Bobby, saying that she has, information on Bobby, that they're talking. None of it was true. I got him to send me the phone numbers. This woman is saying she's communicating with Bobby. And I actually proved that the phone numbers were to somebody completely different. Not even Bobby, not even around Bobby. So I blocked the article. 2 days later, the reporter sends me a text and he's like, so I've researched you and we think that you are very interesting and we want to write about you. And I was like, I went back and forth with him. I said, how about you just wait? You just wait, because I knew that Bobby was going to switch, right? I knew he was going to switch. I was in the know. And
you didn't want to overshadow that moment.
I didn't want to hurt what we were doing.
Right.
So I was like, can you please just wait 2 weeks? I will give you an even bigger story. I didn't even know what I was going to give him, but I was like, I'll give him something exclusive. He will be so happy. I said, can you just wait? He said, let us think about it. I'll talk to my editor. He came back a day later. Yeah, we're running the story. You can either give us a quote or not. And I was like, well, of course I'm going to give you a quote then. So then it came out, that I was behind the scenes over there, but
it didn't do anything. It didn't damage Bobby at all.
No, but it didn't damage Bobby, and I didn't do any interviews to promote it. I was not self-serving.
Right.
So because I didn't want to damage it, I just wanted it to go away. And then Bobby was like, he called me himself. I know this happened. I'm so sorry. It happened because you're trying to help us, and you did help us.
Right.
And I'm so sorry. Like, I don't care about your past. I hope you know that, like, I'm in your corner. It doesn't matter. But then kind of as he switched and he went into the more conservative world, because now he's on the Trump ticket, basically. He's in the Trump administration. Then it kind of became whereas, like, he didn't go to bat for me in ways I feel like he should have. Like, for example, the New York Times called him and said, listen, we'd love a quote about Kristin, not related to the first round of press. It was related to the switch.
Right.
And they said, we're hearing that she's helped a bit with that. And we just really want, and he was like, I don't have a comment on that.
Whereas where would have heard is you'd be like, listen, she's wonderful. She's great.
Could you just not say something nice about me? Because most people don't. And it would be so
refreshing to be almost like a validation for somebody other than Roger that has some swinging dick around here that could say something truthful about you and not gauge you for your past, because gauge you for what, or judge you for what you're doing in today's world now.
And I gotta tell you, but there was a time when Roger and Bobby were at war, and it put me in a really uncomfortable position, and Bobby was calling me, asking me to do things, to talk to Roger and to do things about that. And it really put me in such an uncomfortable position. And I remember Bobby at that time said to me, Kristin, Roger Stone is never going to be a really good friend to you, but I promise I will be a much better friend than he ever will be. And at the way he handled it, sort of in the end, I still love Bobby. I still am willing to help him however he needs help. But I really feel like, I did a bunch of things to help, and
you kind of got the short
end of the day. You weren't that good of a friend to me, because I really would have appreciated a kind word because I've had so
and it wouldn't
few
have taken
kind
it wouldn't
words.
have taken much. It would have made, like
Right.
he could have said, hey, you know
Krista
what?
works behind the scenes. She's helped us. We love her. That's all you have to
That's
say.
it. You know what? She has worked behind the scenes, done a great job. We appreciate. Boom. Could have been 7 words, and
I would have been so grateful for
that would have
that.
made the world to you. That would have meant the world to you. You know what I'm saying? Like, but it's just it's almost par for the course that you're kind of living in now in the political world, is that these motherfuckers, they don't care who they step on or who they throw under the bus, as long as it's not them. You've learned that early with, look how deep and seated Spitzer was to try to, he went to all levels of the earth. Making you come out to be like a full-blown drug dealer when you're just, swapping some pills with your boys. And so they've always been intimidated, by you. And they get mad because they want people to hate you, but you're so likable. You're so likable, and so I think that's where that they get most frustrated at, is they want to make you the villain, and they've tried like hell. They've locked you in a cage like a fucking animal, but you still are, killing it. I know your PR firm's doing well. I know that Mueller was after you during when they were trying to get Stone in the Russian interference deal. You got wrapped up in that. They came after you on that.
You know how many lawsuits I've been in because of Roger?
Oh,
the J6 committee, I had to testify for them.
And now, out of all of it, what was this? Was the Mueller? Was that the scariest?
I think that one was the scariest.
I think so too.
They were really leaning on me heavy. Like, after I went on Chris Cuomo after the first round, and I called the prosecutor out. I said, I said, I feel like I've been treated badly, like they're bullying me. And then the next day he called my attorney, and he said, we think that she's been dishonest in her testimony. We watched some of these interviews. We watched Cuomo. We think that she said something different there than what she said here. So we want to bring her back to DC for like the 3rd, 4th time, whatever it was. I didn't do a press conference. Everybody else that testified for Mueller did a press conference. They milked it. I didn't do any of that. I went in through the secret entrance because I just wanted to go in quietly, get it over with, and leave. And, this prosecutor was really bullying me. I had my attorney. I said, you know what? They bullied me for 3 months now. I missed my friend Dennis Hoff's birthday party where he died. Dennis Hoff was one of the kindest people to me over the years. And I used to call him Big Daddy. And Big Daddy, I did the PR for his assembly race that he won when he died. Roger and I were supposed to go there for his birthday party. I was in LA to go on the Motley Crue tour bus with him. And we were shopping a show. He was going to give me the Alien Ranch. We had a deal with a TV network. And I got called by my attorney. You have to come back right now to go testify this week. Dennis tweeted about it. My friend, I'm very upset at this witch hunt. My friend was coming here to go on the tour bus with me to go campaign, and now she can't come. Next thing I know, Harvey from TMZ is calling me. I saw Dennis Hoff's tweet. What tweet? I don't know about a tweet. And he outed me accidentally. He was very upset. And I didn't get to go because of this investigation. And it still really pains me to this day because
when they didn't hear what they wanted, they just kept fucking with you, thinking that they break you down when really you were consistent in your testimony. So your first one, they didn't like.
They already bullied me. I asked them, can I just stay in California? I have an obligation to my friend here.
Yeah.
Can you give me a couple days? No, it was all bullying the whole time. And then I left California and Dennis died. I never got to see him. He passed away on his birthday night. And, when I say this man was my friend, I can't tell you. He called me every other day. I just want to see how you're doing. Are you okay? Over many years of things I've done, been through.
Right.
He was always calling me to make sure I was okay. If I, really on one hand, if I had to say who I could count on to be there, it would be Lainey Spicer, Roger Stone, and Dennis Hoff.
Of those 3, do you know how I would rank them?
How?
Laney, Roger, Dennis. That's how I would rank. Because
That's exactly how I would rank them
yeah,
all.
Lane. I love Laney. Oh
She's
my.
a ride or die, man.
How is she doing?
She's so good.
Is
You know,
she-
she's married now.
Yeah, she's living in Florida still, right?
No, she's in New York.
Oh, she's in New York. Is she still PRing?
Yeah, she's still PRing. I gave her Lummy's phone number. I connected them.
Oh, I gotta get. I mean, I just want to call her up and say, Laney, I miss you. How are you? I just talked.
That's what she wants to, for the record.
I'm like, I just talked to Kristin. What a fucking great interview. And then based on your temperature, I'd love to get with Roger or other influential people, my filmmaker, and I mean if and get your story out. It's such a compelling story.
I would love that.
And it's you're so likable. You got the look. You've done the time. Like you didn't get a shortcut. They've leaned on you. I mean, as recently as they tried to fucking put the J6 rap on you, or they at least talked to you about it. What the fuck do you have to do with the January 6th resurrection? What do you have to do?
I have to do with Roger Stone. That's what I have to do with it. And he wanted to blame Roger for, even though we went to DC. I had a PR contract for the night before. I had Flynn and all these people on the stage, and it was huge, 100,000 people there. It was a beautiful, fun event. And then the next morning, I thought I had Roger and Angela Stanton King, who's also my client. I thought I had them speaking on stage with the president. We became very obvious that the person who booked them, she ghosted us. Right. There's no car. She stopped responding. So we decided not to go to the event. We stayed in the hotel room the whole time. But because Roger Stone is who Roger Stone is, they wanted to link him to that. To now we know there's not even anything to link him to. But at that time, right, they wanted to make it to be like he was masterminding some violence, and we were not doing anything even close to it. So.
Well, listen, I can't tell you how great of a time I had talking with you. Lummy, you gave Lummy your information, because I like to send you a little Bubba Army's care pack. Like
I'd love that.
We make some girl stuff and stuff like that. And more importantly, let's keep in touch. Let's keep in touch. You're a phenomenally connected person. We know some of the between Laney and Roger. I mean, we know some great people. I love the way this interview went, and I'd love to continue to help you in any way, shape, or form that I can. And you got such a compelling story. And if you ever really, I think Matt Cox is approaching a million subs now on his YouTube channel. It might be worth the time. He's very well connected, and he's done federal prison time, so you guys could get into all that.
Kindred spirits.
Yeah, you guys, because he's a good looking dude too. So he's like the good looking dude that went to prison, and you're like the hot chick that went to prison. So you guys can compare. Do attractive people get messed with more at this is a question actually. Do attractive people get messed with more at prison than just the average ham and egger?
No, at least not in the women's facility. But I think if they think you have money, you get messed with.
They start shaking you down.
Also, predominantly, like I was in a nice facility. It's like 70% Mexican, cartel-related crimes, people smuggling, drug smuggling. So they're not. They have an impression of what they think white women are like. And there's not very many of us in the prison, maybe 7 or 8%, 10%.
Did you have a nickname like Blondie or Barbie or anything?
You know what? One of the officers called me Prison Barbie, but, I was like, nobody looks good in prison. Okay. Nobody looks good in prison.
You can't look good. You can't.
No, you do not have like proper products. You do not have proper mirrors.
You're not putting your creams on at night. You're not doing any of that shit, are you?
They don't I was in a cell with a bunk bed and a princess bed and one little toilet. So you don't have any humility in prison. Like you're going to the bathroom in front of two strangers. You living out of a storage bin. You have a storage bin.
That's I bet you look pretty fucking hot in prison still. I bet your prison shot was your mug shot was pretty good.
I don't even know if I've not ever seen it. I hope to never see it.
That should be the cover of your book. That should be
I've
the
never
cover.
seen it. I don't even know if they keep, I don't know. I think for the feds, they don't release these things. And for the state of New York, maybe because I was high profile, they never released it. I don't know. I've
You've never
seen
seen
it.
your mugshot. It'd be interesting to see if there is even one, you know?
I don't know. I'm afraid to see it.
And Prison Barbie,
Really crying, makeup down my, that's how it was when I got to Rikers, crying, tears, makeup.
Prison Barbie might be the title of the doc. I mean, you know what I'm saying? You must well just lean into it, right? Prison Barbie, fuck it.
That's right. That's right.
Hey, listen, let's stay in touch. And I had such a great time with you today. Thank
Please
you.
reach out to Lainey.
Oh, yeah, I'm going to. By tomorrow, I'm going to have already talked to her, and I'm going to tell her that my new best friend is Kristin Davis, and let's keep in better touch, okay, hon?
I will. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you for everything.